Well, hello, everybody. Welcome, Unlimited Wisdom family. I love and appreciate you guys. And so, hi, Lisa, Deborah, Matthew, Melody, Kevin, Scott, Mary, Karen, Jody, Sandy, Bill, and of course, CJ. I don't know if I said Matthew, and I'm sure Ezra's hiding in the back. But this is a follow up for yesterday's Daily Wisdom. And I get to dedicate this one to Craig. Craig came up with this idea. And I had one in my mind yesterday, but I just went, wow, it just dovetails or, just goes into that. And so the title of this one is Your Self-Talk Matters. Your self-talk matters. Now, a lot of people that have been around me for any time whatsoever knows. We do breakthroughs on Thursday nights, tomorrow night, and there's two groups of people that are going to watch this. They either believe that your words make no difference, but the second that I found out that my words mean everything, it's crazy how fast I started watching my vocabulary and watching the words that came out of my mouth and started to stop correcting them. And one of Craig's favorite quotes that he always brings up is Henry Ford. So here's a guy that, I don't know if you guys knew this, but the people that were his family in his elder age actually took him to court to prove that he was incompetent so they could take his riches away. And their whole reason for doing it is not only to control the money that he made, but they thought that they could prove it that by saying that he couldn't read or write and he didn't understand arithmetic, all of this stuff. And of course, it was really, really funny when he was asked those questions, what he did. But when you really, really find people that are very simplistic, and his one of his favorite quotes of all time is, "If you think you can, you can. If you think you can't, you can't." And so we all know that, thoughts are things, and maybe some people even don't believe that. But when the thoughts actually come into words and you throw those words out, I know Sandy might know this one, but when you talk about casting a spell, when you're casting a spell on someone, do you realize that's with words? See, it's not done with thoughts. It's done with words. And for those of you that may have different thoughts or beliefs, I did a little bit of research about, this is my question. As I said, please share with me Bible verses that have to do with words, that you need to watch out for your words. And it was pretty interesting that a bunch of them come up. There was like over 10. But the first one in Proverbs 18:21, the tongue has the power of life and death. And those who love it will eat it. So meaning the words can create or destroy, they shape your reality. Wow. You know what I mean? And so I'll tell you guys this little quick story. My biological mom that I wasn't close to at all, I got taken away from my mom and my father when I was really, really young. And there became a time where I found out that she had been diagnosed with brain cancer. And so when that happened, immediately, everybody started, small towns like Williston, North Dakota, that they just started putting together a silent auction for her funeral. And she had I think it was an 87% chance of not being alive in like 60 days. So it was crazy to me how everyone just rallied around that, oh my God, you got cancer, so it's unoperable, and you got an 87% chance of dying, so let's just get ready for that. Well, I had already been around my mentor long enough to be beaten up quite a few times for not watching the words that I say, out of my mouth, like, I can't do that. I can't do that. I can't do that. And so I immediately called him up And he was saying, listen, there's this technology that's not available in the United States. It's a clinic called American Biologics. You can actually check into it in San Diego. And then they'll put you into a limousine and basically take you shopping in Tijuana. And he says, they can take care of your mom. And so I talked her into doing that. All right. And so, you know, she's like, hey, I'm not going to live anyway. So why not, have my son pay and go there. So as soon as we got to Tijuana across the border, he rolled down the privacy window in the limo and he says, are you telling me you're really hurting and need to go to a hospital right away? And we're like, okay. He pulls into this beautiful, beautiful hospital. Had a guard, beautiful fence around it, and we went there, and this is how they tricked her insurance. You know what I mean? This is back. Holy cow! This would be back in the late '80s, probably '88, '89. And so they had this technology that a guy won a Nobel Prize for. And what he would do is take your white blood cells out of your body, furthest from the cancer, and he won a prize because he could make the cells grow outside of your body. So then what they did is sort of put you through a detox, and then he would take your own white blood cells and put them back in you. The white blood cells would find the cancer and totally destroy it. Okay? Now, some people might know what I'm talking about right now, but it is funny that that wasn't available in the United States. And so, now to be able to do that, you use your own white blood cells to be able to kill your cancer. And long story short, we're sitting down with the doctor. And he says, I only have one question to ask you before we decide to do this. And my mom went, okay. And he leaned really close to her and he looked at her straight in the eyes and he goes, I don't need you to think about it. I need you to just answer this question. And she was like confused like I was and said, okay. And he goes, do you want to live? And my mom sat there for a little bit and she started crying. She goes, yes, I want to live. And then what came out of his mouth after that was so powerful. He goes, I perfected this technology, immunotherapy, and using your white blood cells to kill your cancer. But if you didn't answer yes to that question, there's nothing I could do. So that was me being trained by my mentor for a couple of years and hearing a doctor that won this Nobel Prize for doing this science. And he's like, listen, if you mentally already checked out and said, I lived a good life, I guess this is what it is. I believe the doctors in Williston, North Dakota, you know, and he only asked my mom to do one other thing. He said, listen, when you get back to the United States, you have to go to a hospital. He said in Houston, Texas. It's Anderson Hospital. They're number one in the United States. And she said, why? And he said, because they will do a thorough CAT scan from the bottom of your feet all the way to the top of your head. And he says, you don't get brain cancer first. He says, there's cancer all over in your body. And he says, we need to document it as this treatment works. Well, my mother recaught cancer numerous times. And every time that she went to American Biologics in Tijuana, it totally disappeared. And so the reason that I'm saying this is we do know thoughts are things, but how many of you guys know people that have died from cancer? And what's sad about this story is that, some people just hang around certain people with white coats on, like I did with my knee when the doctor told me, hey, well, you're not going to be a mechanic anymore. And I took that authority And that word, his words, as you'll never be a mechanic again. And I went, I guess my identity's gone. I got to do something different in my life. So, how many of you people know people that hear things from certain authorities, and then when you try to give them an alternative, they're just not listening? Like, who the F are you? You know what I mean? You don't know what you're talking about. And you're going, well, listen, I have this funny joke that I used to always say because I've been in a lot of nutrition companies. And I always would say, what's the difference between God and a doctor? God never calls himself a doctor. So we know a lot of people that have a lot of ego and a lot of education, and they act like they're God, right? And then my wife's favorite one always is, they call it a practice for a reason. You know what I mean? There's certain professions that they call a practice because they still haven't quite figured it out. And the only reason that I'm bringing this up is that was a very dramatic thing that happened in my life that was one of those paradigm shifts for me that, it made sense that I should have good thoughts and it made sense that I should, watch the words that come out of my mouth. But, that really confirmed it for me. Would you guys agree? It's like, if she wouldn't say that I want to live, yes, I want to live, then he wouldn't even have given her the treatment. And crazy that my mom went through all of that cancer numerous times, and then she moved to a small city called she got remarried, so she basically was close to those kids that, she started calling those her family, right? And one of her daughters, not to get crazy here, but my mom married my oldest uncle when her sister passed away. And so my uncle was my stepdad. Do I need to go any further, you guys? So I got some cousins that are my stepbrothers and sisters. So this was one of my cousin's stepsisters. And she was a registered nurse and worked in Toyota. So they went there and they moved there so she could watch them more. And then my mom was in assisted living and she caught COVID and they slid her from the assisted living to the hospital and she died. So here's a lady that beat cancer 3 times, including brain cancer, and then died of COVID. I don't even think we need to get into that subject, do we? It's so. And so getting back to your words matter is what if, just what if the words that you use out of your mouth that you actually say, what if they actually shaped your reality? Just put that in your head. What if? When I do mentoring with people, and I don't know if you guys know this, and under classroom, I'm now doing live coaching again. And so had a lot of fun with Rebecca and a lot of fun with Esther. And when I do stuff like that, I really can get in depth because it's private and I get to listen to them. And when that happens, and Deborah knows this, a lot of you have done, more than an hour on a Zoom with me, and I can really pinpoint it pretty fast. And it's amazing what I hear people say. And you guys already know. And it's like, so what's wrong right now? Well, I'm really feeling stuck. I'm really feeling frustrated. I'm overwhelmed. Sort of confused. I don't know what to do. And they just list off about 14 words that are defeating them. Just one after another. And you just, hey, and it's so funny. One of my all-time favorite students, of course, is Melody Riva, because Melody Riva used to be a master at saying defeating words. And it's like we now become so close that Melody could be going to the emergency room, picked up in an ambulance in the ER, and they're telling her that if we don't get this done and this done, you're going to die. And if I reached out to Melody and I'd say, Melody, how's everything going? She's going, oh, man, I'm blessed and highly favored and deeply loved. She understands that so well that I've sort of, as a friend, and I treat her like a sister. She's close family to us. And I'll find out from other people, holy crap, did you hear what's going on in Melody's life? And I go, I haven't. And I can guarantee you, people hear from other people what might be happening in Melody's life, but you're not going to hear that from her. Now, how many people understood what I said there? So eliminating those words out of your vocabulary is something that you just have to be aware of. Now, here's what people say to me all the time. Well, I can't do that. Yeah, I know. You just told me. And your mind hears, I can't. Yeah, you're right. You can't. I'm now going to make sure that you can't, right? And one of the things that I learned years ago from my mentor, first year I knew him because not only did he want me to get this book to start saying the right words out of my mouth, right? But how to limit the other ones. So I know that I've shared this, but probably not in a long time. But what he asked me to do, and I'd like all of you to do, is I'm just going to ask you to listen to my instructions. Just follow my instructions, and you don't have to be unmuted, but just follow my instructions. I'm going to ask you to count to 1 to 10 out loud. I'm going to count with you, but listen to my instructions. So I need you to count out loud to 1 to 10. So let's do it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. What's your name? Okay. So how many of you, when I asked what's your name, you just stopped? How many of you said your name? Okay, I told you to follow instructions, didn't I? All right. How many of you said your name because you followed instructions and I asked your name, but I didn't tell you to stop counting? So how many people, I know Jody's seen me before, but I watched Jody go, 7, Jody Falcon, 8, 9, 10. And so here's why this is so important, is when your thoughts are thinking, they will always stop to hear what your mouth has to say. Let me say that again. When your mind is thinking, it will always stop to hear what your mouth has to say. So people say to me, well, you don't understand, Robert. I have these awful thoughts, and then that thought goes to this thought, and then that thought goes to this thought, and then I got this thought. That's called worrying, by the way. Some people don't realize that, that you can have imagination in the positive or you can have imagination in the negative. So worry is just using your imagination in a bad way. So how many of us have had bad thoughts? I got both my hands up, all right? So that's what the video was yesterday, right? So I just didn't catch it fast enough, and I didn't know what it was, of why I wasn't in sync, why I wasn't connected, why I wasn't hardwired. And so if you start having thoughts, as crazy as this sounds, you have to rebuke them. So if you think a thought and you go, oh, I'm really, really, really tired, you need to open up your mouth and go, that is not true. That is not true. If a friend of mine called me right now and said, listen, you want to go out for coffee? I'm in town. We'd go, absolutely. We'd run in our bedroom. We'd take a bath or shower if we needed. We'd put on our clothes. We'd tell everybody that the rest of the night is not available, and you jump in your car and go meet your friend. So why is it that someone can call you that you love spending time with, and they say, "Hey, listen, I should have called you earlier, but I'm in town. I'd like to share something with you. Can we spend some personal time together?" All of a sudden, you got the time, your energy is up, you stop procrastinating, and you do it right away. See, this is where that Mel Gibson has that deal. Mel Gibson. Let's put him, Mel Robbins. Yeah. Where she has that 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It's like as soon as you talk yourself out of doing something by procrastinating, isn't that funny? She uses that because she said, don't you guys remember people that used to say, "Hey, Sandy, if you don't stop that, I'm going to count to 10 and some shit's going to happen." You know what I mean? So you need to stop that right now. 5, 4, 3. And it's like, okay, I'm done. Isn't it crazy that we still have some of that programming in our head that if we do it to ourselves, it's like, well, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do the stuff I need to get plugged in. Then with your mouth, you just go, no, you're doing it right now. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Do it. Okay. Okay. Do it. And when you really understand how powerful your words are, then when you do have bad thoughts, I'll have all kinds of stupid thoughts. And we've shared about this in the past. But how many of you have ever had thoughts about doing something that you know would cause harm to yourself? See, no one wants to admit those. See, we don't want to tell anybody about those because, wow, if that got out, then it might go to, someone with some authority and power. And then the next thing I know, I'm in a straitjacket, you know what I mean? Or checked into the hospital, so you can't, why, did you hear that? You can't say that stuff. So you don't say it out loud. But I've shared on other videos that I'm so open and honest to help people that sometimes I'm driving and I see a vehicle pull up to the intersection and they have a stop sign. And I cannot tell you guys. I go like, blink of an eye. They pull out. I hit them. Giant car crash. Why in the hell do we do that? We're human. We're human. Have you ever listened to a radio station and you're driving long distance and all of a sudden it picks up another channel? Right? And then it comes back and then it goes in and out. For those of us that have old televisions, it's on the wrong signal. It's on the wrong frequency. It's on the wrong vibration. So all we're doing is going in and out of other frequency and vibrations. So when that thought happens, I actually physically shake my head like someone threw cold water in my face, and I immediately out of my mouth. So I have those thoughts, and I just go, that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. That's what I do. I just go, nope, 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 that's not going to happen. And when I get chills and stuff on my arms, I know I immediately plugged into the right radio station. But what I also did, frequency and vibration, but I threw a command out. I threw a spell out. Okay? And I know some of you are going to say this is woohoo. Well, then just keep doing what's working for you. And always people going, oh my God, Robert's like way out there. You guys haven't seen anything yet. I mean, you haven't seen anything yet, right? And when you plug into this and you understand this stuff, that's how you can change your state. That's how you can change the frequency and vibration that you're on. And so whether you're a believer or not, I want to share something with you guys that I heard last night. And I know some of you are going to be, oh my God, I don't want to hear this. I don't want to hear this. I don't want to hear this. So, all of you do know of an individual named Donald Trump. Okay. So, in old interviews, way, way before he was successful and before he thought about being president, back when all the other side liked him and had them on their shows and loved up on him, it's like all the people that are saying awful stuff. It's weird to have a video with them where they're hugging him and saying he's the coolest guy on the planet. That's sick, but that's for another time, right? So it's like, I'll just pretend to be a person that I'm not, because right now this is benefiting me, knowing this billionaire in real estate in New York that has a show apprentice. Right now, I'm going to say he's my buddy until he's not, all right? But I seen an interview with him, and he said, I was one of the luckiest people on the planet. And they said, why? And he said, do you know where I went to church? My dad would take me to church and watch Norman Vincent Peale was my pastor. And people were going, who's that? Well, it's the guy that wrote The Power of Positive Thinking. He's one of the biggest thought people on the planet, like Napoleon Hill. You know what I mean? And I knew of the guy because my mentor told me about The Power of Positive Thinking by Norman Vincent Peale. You guys probably could find millions of things like you could with Og Mandino and Wallace Wattles and Napoleon Hill. And he went, yeah, I watched him. I watched him speak. And he says, I would come out of every message that he did every Sunday walking on a cloud. Now, you can hate him all you want, but that guy is exactly that book. So for some of you that know this, he's an uppity up Democrat, gave money to all the Democrats. He's given millions and millions and millions of dollars to Bill and Hillary Clinton. And then all of a sudden he goes to this little comedy thing that the uppity ups do that are in politics. And someone named Obama made fun of him. It said, how many of you guys heard that Donald Trump's thinking about being president? That will happen. And he sat in the audience and went, I'll show you. I'll show you. And now there's clips going all over the place where people are walking up. Did you hear Donald Trump's running for president? That's never going to happen in a million years. That's total bullshit. And now he not only got elected once, but twice. So why am I bringing this up? I seen an interview of his son, Eric. And this is what Eric says. He said, wow, can you believe, can you imagine saying this in one of my bathrooms? Can you imagine this coming? So people went, wow, Eric, you were already booked on this show over a month ago. And to think that we're talking to you right now and your father just signed the deal with Israel and the Gaza. He goes, everyone said that this deal would never happen. And Eric gets a big smile on his face. Power of positive thinking. And the guy goes, excuse me? And he goes, yeah. From the time that my father started running for president, he says, it's time for peace in the Middle East. I'm going to get it done. And he says, I've been around my father my whole life. there's no way I can tell you how many things my father said he would do that he's done. Mhm. And when he says it, everyone goes, that guy is a nutcase. But when my father says it, he believes it. He throws it out into the universe and he's like, this is going to happen. I'm going to make this happen. And he goes, man, he said, I don't know if you people believe in a dark force, but man, when you start claiming things like that, it seems like everything in the world comes out to make sure you don't make it happen. And I went, so me and watching that, it was just like we are rolling through channels and, you know, Eric Trump is saying like, oh yeah, it's the power of positive thinking. And everyone sort of like on this deal went, what? I don't know if I've ever heard of that book, but for Eric, how many of you guys think that Eric probably heard this his whole entire, you know, lifetime? You know? And so I'm not making it about Donald. I'm making it about using your words to make things happen. So now when you really, really look at the words that you say on a daily basis, how many of them are sort of defeating you versus making you excited? So words mean everything. They really, truly, truly mean everything. And so I didn't find it by accident that yesterday, you know, I take some downtime. I'm scrolling through channels and I run across Charlie Kirk's deal where, you know, he's getting the Medal of Freedom. And so I watched it. And I like freaked out. I don't know where this Erica came from, but we already heard that, you know, at the memorial, she said she forgave the person who killed her husband. And even sort of jokingly, Donald Trump goes, I'm not there yet. I don't want my enemies to be doing good. You know what I mean? And she said these words that I wanted to share with you guys. And I've never heard it said this way, ever in my entire life. So as soon as I heard it, of course, I went on Google and I went on AI because I go, who said that? Who came up with that? And AI and Google both said, Erica Kirk. It's like, I would think that someone would say something this powerful I'm about ready to share with you, and that she got it somewhere. And here's what she said. She said, to live free is the greatest gift. To die free is the greatest victory. And she said, freedom without God is chaos. So when I started thinking about that, we all talk about freedom, maybe financial freedom, you know, for the free and the brave. We know about the song, right? But how many of you that watch this video live or recorded, how many of you would like to be free from fear? Free from drama, free from sadness, free from everything that doesn't give you joy, happiness, and peace. I started thinking that, and it made me so, so, so emotional because my life is very, very special. And I'm free from a lot of these things. But it took me wanting a different life, stopping my thoughts with my voice. Did you guys hear this? So, hey, don't think that way. That's not easy. Listen, I got years and years of practice of thinking ways to sabotage myself and make myself feel negative and make myself feel guilty. I got this down. I got a lot of thoughts that make me feel shame. I got a lot of thoughts of making me feel like a victim. I got a lot of these thoughts. And you're just telling me to stop the thoughts? No. I'm telling you to interrupt your thoughts with your words and say them out loud. So whether you're a believer or not, do you find it interesting when you open up Genesis? Whether you believe this delusion or not. And it said, God said, let there be light, and there were light. Wow, wow. It didn't say so, so God thought. You know what I mean? It's like words seem to have a lot of power because your mind and your soul and your spirit stop to hear what you're saying. So I've heard do the I am statements, right? Then I hung around people that go, you don't say I am statements. They're incantations. What you do is you say those words out loud with emotion. You stand up. Isn't that crazy? Yeah. Sadly, when you hear what people say and you become very aware of this in your life, then you'll hear people constantly say stuff like that. Like I said yesterday, oh my God, my knee's killing me. See, I even interject God into it. Oh my God, my knee is killing me. It's like it's just crazy. And then you hear people that, I hate this person. And their words all day, every day is nothing but self-sabotaging destruction for them and the people that they love. They don't even realize that their words are actually hurting other people. So I'll close this out with this. It was like went from a sucky bad day to a pretty miraculous day. You know what I mean? Bottom line, because I made a decision. I don't know if you guys seen my post today, but it was like, everyone makes mistakes. You duplicate that mistake, that's a decision. It's okay to make a mistake. Wow, this didn't feel good. This didn't do good. So yesterday was a really good day. So then, Terry was helping her mom and Kyle was over there putting away stuff for the winter for her. And then they bought pizza and they came home. And Terry loves watching the craziest reality shows. It's funny. I love watching them with her because I don't even have to pay for this ticket. And she's so funny and so expressive watching this stuff and laughing and shouting at the TV. She got that from her dad. Do you know people that yell at the TV? It's like Terry is hilarious, man. And so we watched this show called Special Forces. And if you don't know what it is, it's a bunch of ex-athletes, ex-reality stars, ex-singers, actors, whatever. But it's these people that have already done things in their life, but what they're doing is, I don't want to say something negative because, like I'll give you an example. Two of them, are Hall of Fame athletes. One in baseball and football. Another one was in basketball. So these people are not slouches. They're gold medal winners, for the Olympics for women, And it seems like they just want to challenge themselves, right? So you go there to see who can make it through the special forces. And the reason that I bring it up is if you watch any one of the episodes, you can watch live time someone use their thoughts and their words to totally fucking destroy themselves. Live time. Because they're asked to do things that are way out of their comfort zone. Okay, what are we going to do now? Oh, we're going to put you in a thing that looks like an airplane. We're going to drop you in the water. You need to hold your breath without panicking because you're strapped in. Hold your breath for 20 seconds. We'll have someone touch you. And then you can unbuckle and, get out of the plane. And you see people go, that ain't happening. That ain't happening. I'm scared of water. I had something happen to me one time in water. I mean, you're just going, it's very obvious as you're watching that they're not only saying that this is not going to happen, but you watch them make it happen. Right? So they're strapped in and they're crying, and the guy, the special forces dudes are going, why are you crying? You're not even in the water. We didn't tell you to put anything on. They're just like, holy, listen, stop that. Well, I mean, we all know people like this. It was like, I'm not only scared of water, I'm scared of heights. And, and it's like, okay. So it was one of the ladies on New Jersey Housewives. Some of you women know exactly who it is. The one that, got caught and locked up for a little while. She was on there with her daughter for, mortgage fraud or whatever. She gets in the water, and as soon as it starts dropping down, she immediately, the water's not even up to her waist. And she goes like this. And I mean, she's already breathing to the top of the plane, and the water's not even close to her head. Total panic. And of course, the water starts coming up. It went over her chest, and she's unbuckling the buckle. I'm out. I'm failing this, right? And the only reason that I brought it out is we watch person after person after person after person after person. And some of these people, they actually bring in and sit across from the special forces people going, what's wrong, man? What's wrong? Well, I don't know, when I started thinking negative about myself, and, I just can't stop thinking negative about myself when I'm worthless. Knows me, and I'm a piece of shit, and it's like, whoa, wow, they're just like saying this, and then there was a couple of people on there, not to make fun of them, but you knew there were these people that actually have been in really public scenarios, that Jesse Smollett or whatever, that one guy that, said that a couple of white guys attacked him and put a hangman's noose on his neck, and even though they convicted him because they had two guys that testified against him. So the two guys that he paid, that he found on the internet, testified against him. He got found guilty and got put in prison, in jail, right? But he still 1000% denies this. And I wasn't there, so I'm not going to say one thing or another. But he's sitting across from these two special forces people, and he says, you'll never understand what it feels like to have everyone in the world believe that you did something that in your heart you didn't do. You'll never understand. And the guy leaned forward and said, you're right, because I don't give a shit about what other people think. Like, wow, you're sure making this out to be a big deal. And a couple of people that he talks to, when they say, well, this happened to me and this happened and this happened to me, he goes, can I ask you a question? They go, sure. Was that in the past? See, no one wants to hear this, do they? He goes, was that in the past? And then he sort of relates to them why he thinks that way. He says, you don't understand, in the military, it's not you taking care of you and whining about you. In the military, you're responsible for other people that are standing right next to you that have families. You don't have time to think about you. You have to keep your calm and make sure that the people that are on the mission with you get the job done and get home to their family. So the reason that we're making people do this is because until you realize that it's not about you, you're never going to move forward in life. Holy, I was going like, am I watching like a motivational episode or something? But Terry was going, oh, these guys say stuff like that all the time. What's going? This is like my new show, right? And so what ended up happening is that Smollett guy gets in that same plane with the water. And what he does is when he gets to 20 seconds and the scuba divers touch him, both times he was sitting next to women. He unbuckled first, pushed her out of the way, and was so panicked that he ran out the wrong door. The woman follows him, goes out the right door, and now both of them fail because Jesse went out the wrong door. Do you understand what I'm saying? So he didn't listen to instructions because he was thinking about himself. And I was watching this, and there's not a person that as I was going down and you were sitting next to me, I guarantee it's like, Karen, listen, if they touch our arms, you go first, I'll help you, I'll push you, and I'm going to follow you out the door. I ain't pushing Karen out of the way and going out first. Are you freaking kidding me? But this immediately tells you mentally where people are. He's all about him. And why is this all happening to me? So listen, they had an odd number of people. And so there was one girl left. And he was crying. He was all upset because he messed up. I wasn't listening. I held my breath long enough, but I panicked and went out the wrong door. And for that reason, your team failed. You failed with this girl because you didn't do what you were told. So they have one lady left. And they said, hey, do you want any volunteers? Jesse raises his hand. And they looked at him. They go, so now you know what to do. What did you do wrong? He goes, I didn't go out the right door. And he says, I want a chance to redeem myself. Gets in it. They duplicate it. He did the same fucking thing. Pushed the girl out of the way, panicked, ran out the back. Guess what the girl did? She went out the right door. Both women getting pushed out of the way by a bigger man, followed instructions, didn't panic, and pulled it off. So now guess what happened to him? So now that this happened, he is a mental mess. And then all of a sudden he starts coughing. He says, I think I got some water in my lungs. And so he had to go see the doctor. And he's coughing and he's coughing. And then the doctor says, yeah, we got to give him a medical excuse to get out of this. And it showed two special forces guys after they left the medical thing. And they go, well, this is better than, telling them to get the hell out of here. And he's going to have to watch that. So not only did his thoughts and words continue to put him in bad places, but then he goes on a show to redeem himself and he messes up. And then he gets a second chance on the show and messes up. So sometimes you guys see people and it just seems that their life never ever goes right. It's simply because they didn't make a decision to find someone that knew the information and they just don't want to follow instructions. So you need to listen and watch the words that come out of your mouth. And you also got to use the words to defeat your thinking. I tell myself all the time, that's a lie. That's a lie. That's not true. That's not true. That's not going to happen. That's not true. That's a lie. Do you guys think since I started Unlimited Wisdom, do you think that I've ever had thoughts that this is just too much? Can I be bold and honest? Because I am multiple times daily. When? When I lose my flame, when I have to focus on changing my ritual to make sure that Unlimited Wisdom and you guys as a family needs to be the priority, not the people that don't ever see my post on Facebook. It's like there's a part of me right now that's going like, why am I even posting on Facebook? Oh, because I did it since it started. Yeah, that's a real good reason, right? So I'll probably end up phasing that off, but I know that my words got to get to those that have ears to hear, so that's why I'm going to go live on every platform. When you guys can find videos of me telling you not to do that. There's videos out there right now, and so right now, the deeper that I'm getting into this, I know the audience will grow, and I know that I will do what I need to do as far as an impact if my words get to people that have ears to hear. So it might not be comfortable doing lives on TikTok and Instagram and Facebook and the other business Facebook. But I also know because I've done this my whole career that if I think and imagine that people will hear my words and go, I think he's something special. I want to work with him. Yeah, that's worked my whole life. I don't know if I shared this with you guys because I'm doing coaching with other people on Zooms. I'm going to say something, and when you guys hear it, I'm not going to explain it. Okay. So on a trip, the last time we moved to California to find Hannah and Matt a place to live, I just signed a lease on a place that you could see the ocean for. Craig was there. Melody's been there. Um, I just signed and paid for a house that oversees the ocean, and I just paid for the lease a year in advance, cash. And that's how I got it because the real estate market's pretty competitive there. So the person's like, I don't know who we want there. And I said, listen, I'll wire you the money right now, full in advance for a year. And it's like all of a sudden they picked us. I have no reason why. So again, understand though, money doesn't buy happiness because those are words, right? Well, I was really, really happy when I got to do that for me and my family. So, just other words, right? And all of a sudden, so we're there. And all of a sudden I was just like, okay, we got to drive there. We've got the place. So I'm driving in a truck all by myself, big yellow Penske truck, pulling our Tesla with my fat boy Harley in the truck, why we needed the truck with other things, right? And I'm driving to California. Well, of course, my wife and kids and dogs, they're all following me, right? And Matt and Hannah in their car. So I got a lot of time to spend by myself. And I'm always saying all the time, you know, God and Heavenly Father, in the name of Jesus, just allow me the words to say to those that have ears to hear, for them to understand my imagination so it can happen for them. I just, I own a home and I just spent $250,000 to do a lease on a home a year in advance to do some nice things with my family. I want other people to, I want other people to experience this kind of imagination. And all of a sudden it's like all my leaders, people that have made millions of dollars, all the leaders that I've had in that entire time, just came to my mind. You know, John Alden, Antonio Mike Kupis that own ACN. And I just had these thoughts that, Aaron Parker and Candice Bird Davis and Adam Tomas that lives out, on Hungary, and Tomas that's in Poland, and Jonathan, Joshua, Daramella in Nigeria. I just had all these thoughts that just came to my head. And then all of a sudden I went, "God, I'm just so blessed. These people that have been in my life is just amazing." And then he goes, "You never called any of them." I got them to call you. Let that sink in. I'll just give you one example. A very dear friend of mine, Fred Herzog. A lot of you knew him. He was with a company called TLC, and he caught cancer and died. And so he connected me with all of his leaders of that company. And he goes, "Robert doesn't care what companies you guys are in. If you ever need anything, reach out to him." So all these women had a really difficulty time with TLC. And the leader of them was a lady named Stanisha. And so after I did this call with them and got them all on the right page, the owner of that company found out that I did that Zoom, and he called every one of the women and paid them to stay in the company. But I wasn't trying to bring them into MDC. I wasn't. I was telling them what they needed to do to change their success, to get back momentum in TLC. A day later, I found out all of them went there except for one. And Candice Bird Davis called me up and said, "I can't tell you how much I learned from you on that Zoom." I said, "Well, you're welcome. Thing I can do for you, let me know." She said, "Did you hear Sanisha's staying with TLC?" And I said, "Yeah." And she said, "Can I work with you? I'd like to go to MDC." I said, "Absolutely." Every one of the leaders that I've had that's made me all the money that I've had heard from somebody or watched one of my videos and came to me. So isn't that going against what I say to people? That you have to reach out to people as many as you can, say as little as possible to as many people as you can, as fast as you can? See, I did that when I started until I learned the skill of filling my emotion through imagination. The very first leader I ever got was working with two people that didn't know what they were doing. So they asked me for money to do a run ads in the newspaper. I didn't know. They just said, "Listen, we're just doing a poll." And they said, "If you do this, all the people that come in will sign applications, we'll put them upside down on a table, we'll spread them all out. And just like cards, you'll get to pick one." I gave them $25. All the people that came in, I just went, "I don't see these people doing anything." There was like 8 applications. They flipped them all upside down. I won one, and it was a guy named John Alden that ended up being one of the top 5 money earners in the company. See, that's how God works in my life. But I believe that He will. I know that I'm worthy. I know that I'm enough. I know I deserve it. There's a lot of things that you got to believe with your thoughts and say with your mouth. before it becomes action. So when you go to work, do you believe that people are gonna, do you believe you're gonna have 1,000 people in your group? Do you believe you're gonna have 2,000 people in your group? Are you gonna put them all there? Are you gonna, with faith, get involved in a company that has no products and do presentations in a warehouse? A warehouse. Most of the time it was too hot. The other times it was too cold. There was never the right temperature in a warehouse with no air conditioning and no heating. So I'm in this warehouse and this incredible, beautiful woman comes up to me and says, I'd like to work with you. And I said, how'd you hear about the company? And she said, oh, this guy right here, his name is Scott Kloster. That woman was Melody Riva. I didn't call Melody Riva. So the people that were around Melody, a lot of them had chosen, you know, not to stay the path, have faith, not to do whatever. Melody bought in hook, line, and sinker. And she's made way over $1 million. That's what the 55 is on her hat. So now I think it's 60, 67 for me. 67 people. The people that just told me and acknowledged me that I had something to do with them earning over $1 million. So how many of you right now are a little like going, wow, I maybe need to get my thinking and my words right? Right? So if you're having difficulty with your thoughts, you control them with your language, with your words. Have any of you, one other download came to me. Have you guys ever been around somebody and they ask you a question and you can see the way they ask the question that based off who you are, your words, your tone of your voice, your body language, that they don't believe you? Example, uh, you go out to eat with somebody. And while you're out to eat, they're going like, is everything okay? And you know, yeah, yeah. And what's the word right after that? Oh, it's nothing. Ugh. I don't like swearing, but that's the words that come to me. So I'm gonna say it. Your life at that point, you feel is fucking falling apart. If people really knew all the shit that was going on in your life, they would feel sorry for you. But because of your fucking ego, you go, oh, nothing. You said that out of your mouth, and your mind goes, oh, I guess I don't have to worry about this, so why should I ask for help? Well, I don't want to ask for help because that'll make me seem weak. It'll make me seem out of control. If you guys hear my testimony of getting involved in this path of my life, when Sean Hennigan called me in my book, he said, Bobby, how's everything going? And I lied to him. Great! Couldn't have been a worse lie that I've ever said. If Sean was really listening to me, he probably would have said, man, he's doing great. This wouldn't be for him. And said, well, it's good to hear. And then got off the phone. I lied to him. And I thank God every day, multiple times a day, that he just didn't hear me. He was brave enough to say the next part of the sentence. I met this guy He showed me his check, $62,000. It was a tad stub. And he's looking for people that want to make six figures a year. Do you know of anyone like that? And my answer was me. I'll pick you up. I want to meet this guy. Because days before that, my thoughts, because I didn't understand how to use my words, my thoughts of that time were, "Oh, I know exactly how to take myself out. All I am right now is a nuisance to people. No one gives a shit. No one cares." I was using my thoughts to try to figure out how to commit suicide. I didn't know how to use my words then. Now I know how to use the words, and those thoughts don't come up anymore. But my mentor knew that I was saying shit wrong. He knew I was answering things wrong. And then this book comes back. Why do you suppose that it says that you're supposed to read the chapter out loud every night before you go to bed? Because you need to be reprogrammed. So you're like, I'm not going to do that. I don't need to do that. Yeah, are those thoughts or words? Do any one of you, and me closing out this video, do any one of you believe that you can come up to words to get me to believe that you shouldn't do that? I'll say it again, Deborah. There's no words that you could say to me to get me to believe that you doing this assignment wouldn't work for you. But people do it, don't they? I don't like to read. I'm too busy. And your ears hear your mouth and they go, "You're absolutely right. You're too busy to change your life." Well, I had a beautiful woman that I changed her life, and she did an audio tape for me. Her name was Wanda. Then I shared it with another person, and Deborah did it. Deborah wrote personally so I wouldn't have to have a book next to me. She wrote it all out. Do you think she knows these words? Deborah did a whole audio on my book, personally, my book. So Deborah Grady did a chapter, and audio, and did a workshop around my personal book. See, some people go, "Hey, I don't even believe what you say, but I'm going to raise you. I'm going to go the extra mile." So Deborah read the book and said, "Wow, what would be extra mile? Extra mile would be uh, writing out chapter 9 and send it to Robert to show him how grateful." And Wanda K went, "I'm going to read it to him." He said he looked all over the internet and can't find the audio. So I'm going to do an audio for him. I'm going to put it on video, and then he can share it with. So if you guys look at Wanda K's God Memorandum video, she not only did every chapter, but the last time I looked, it has 50,000 views. It's probably got more now. Why? Because she did it because I promote it. So I went a little longer than an hour, so I hope you guys will find it in your heart to forgive me. So now you guys know that please watch your words. Please plan your words. Please use your words in the right way. I love and appreciate you. I believe in each and every one of you. Never forget how much I love and appreciate you and believe in you. And if no one's ever given you permission to succeed, be happy, be peaceful. Let me be the first. My mentors did that for me. So see you, Lisa Marie. See you, Matthew and Ez. Hannah. See you, Mary, Melody, Deborah, Kevin, Jody, Bill, and CJ, the hostess with the mostest. Take care. See you on the next video. Bye for now.